Northern Luzon,
DYFX 1332 kHz in Central Visayas.
and DXED 1224 kHz in Southern Mindanao.
You may catch our show via online live streaming at www.radioaguila.am.
Our show is also streaming live on YouTube. Just type in Radyo Aguila Live on the search bar and watch your favorite Radyo Aguila shows live and on demand.
JCI Radio Philippines and Radio Aguila are proud members of the KBP, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
And tonight we have a very special episode because right here with us is the founder of Spin, or what we call Social Play and Innovation Network. Please welcome on air right now, Richard Decal Nacalos.
Hi guys, good evening, good evening.
All right, so as the founder of Spin, he is here to tell us about the latest product of their company, which is called Upstart.
Upstart.
So what is Upstart? It is a game. It's a board game that will help people learn how to set up a business through playing a board game.
Wow, it's a simple
So it's
activity.
making it fun, no? But I think now from what we were talking about ago, this is something that will save people a lot of time, money, effort, or what so. So can you tell us more about what is Upstart all about?
Well, Upstart, it was something that we've been testing for the last year and a half. It's a board game, like
It's
you
that
mentioned.
long, 1 year and a half.
Yeah, so we really took the testing process very seriously. So for the last year and a half, we've been developing it, really trying to create almost a real life simulation of what it's like to set up a business. And one of the main reasons is that what if you could experience the success? What if you could experience failure? And I think failure is one of the more important ones because a lot of people tell you learn a lot more from your mistakes in business.
Yes.
But you learn it in a board game. So like you were saying, it's saving you time, saving you money. That's one of the main reasons. If you look at it, you could actually start your business, fail, fall flat on your face. You could lose thousands, millions in the game, but nothing really happened. so it's a lot safer.
Safe.
Yeah.
It's a simulation, and it saves you from depression also.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So it also helps you look and discover the different habits you have. So if you look at it, if you can really play the game, and what's great about it being a board game, it's hard to fake how you would really do it in real life. Because it's so automatic. You'll just like, all right, I'll take this action. I'll take this action. And what happens is especially if you have a good facilitator, you're going to notice like, hey, wait a second. I'm not looking for team members. I'm trying to do everything myself. Or it might be, oh, I'm not managing my time properly. Oh, wait, why am I getting another investor? I have nothing to spend it on. So those are the kinds of situations that we simulate in the game.
Okay, so before you start the game, before you actually conceptualize the game, you told us that it took a year and a half. Diba? And with that a year and a half, I'm sure you gathered a lot of data on probably the failures in business and how they came through with those failures. Diba? Maybe we can give people right now, our listeners, what are the things that you are going to be facing? Let's say our listeners right now don't have a experience in business.
Yeah, they want to learn how to start up a business, of course.
Okay, so what do they expect when they start a business?
I think one of the things about playing it a year and a half is sometimes it really hits close to home. It's very surprising. We have a lot of random cards in the game that you pull to simulate the chance aspects of setting up a business. Because let's face it, there is chance involved. But at the same time, it's what you make with your time and money. And in the game, that's actually the two currencies, time and money.
Okay.
So we really simulate that. And I'd say some of the simple failures, especially when you're first starting the business. In the game, we have a period called the incubation phase. Like with a business.
Yes.
So
The incubation phase.
The incubation phase is kind of the tutorial for people who are first learning how to play the game. So if any of you have played RPGs or role-playing games, if you play video games now, almost every game has an in-game tutorial. So that's how we set up the game. That it has an in-game tutorial of how to figure out how to play. And one of the distinct things about doing it is you get to choose your background. So
Okay.
let's say like if you're a full-time employee, you can get the experience of what it's like to set up your business on the side. So you have less hours, but you have steady income. And in contrast, you might have something like a full-time entrepreneur who
Wherein you have time,
you have all of the time.
but your income is limited.
Yeah, your income is limited to how much your business makes. And again, you have to strategize. Okay, like what are the different things that might happen? What happens if you get a kid? And those are actually some of the cards that are there. And one of the ones that are more shocking for people when they have a kid in the game, they're like, oh no. Like my business goes on pause for the next few turns, and then they have to
So
pay.
those are real life situations that come in, which is like if you're gonna get married sometimes,
Exactly.
diba?
Yeah. And especially in the incubation phase, we try to adjust the breakdown so that people can, and that's what we call them, breakdowns, where they can learn of the usual things that happen. Like for example, losing a team member.
Okay.
Something that happened to me personally. Like you start a business, you have a team in the beginning, then all of a sudden people start disappearing. So how do you manage that? And like,
I know the feeling.
so that's what the game does. It's like you lose a team member and sometimes you can't do anything about it. So it's like the equity's there. Do you have the game again?
Is there something like if that former teammate is trying to come in again in the business?
What we do have is something, usually you have to watch out more for your equity. Those are the things that you watch out for. So it's usually if you don't take care of your equity, you can be at risk of losing your business. So those are things that we also simulate because that's a real life thing. You might just give away all of your equity, build a huge team, and then you realize later on, uh-oh, wait a second.
And
there's something wrong.
I only own 45% of my business. And then who knows what might happen. Because again, there are chance cards. You might be lucky that you have a team that's solid that won't go after you, but that's not always the case. So those are the kinds of lessons we try to teach. And again, it came from a lot of my own personal experiences and the experiences of people that I've talked to. And the books that I've read, because I'm an avid reader on
business books. And aside from comic books.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're both comic book fans, man. So we put it. Actually, I shifted my comic book reading to more of the business side right now. So, yeah, instead of learning how to become a superhero, I'm learning to become a businessman.
So you're reading more of Dilbert, huh?
A little. But anyway, with our real life experiences now, and how do you win in that board game?
Well, we have 3 general win conditions for the basic game. So there's a basic or beginner way of winning the game. The 3 ways are usually what's based on usual goals of people. Number 1 is scale. And if you want to scale in the game, you have to have enough capital. So that means you have enough capital mixed either with your personal money and the business money. The second way to win is the typical Silicon Valley model, where you get 10,000 followers, 10,000 users. And the assumption is that you've built enough followers for your business that it could successfully, get sold. Or the third one is what we call the cash cow, which is if your goal is personal money, then have the personal money in your personal bank.
Okay, so before you play the game, you determine what is the type of ending that you wanted to achieve.
And then that's the beginner way. Like usually if you choose your goal and you say, okay, this is what I'm gonna aim for. And usually you declare it before the beginning of the game. Sometimes if you wanna be more free, you might say an open win condition when it's any 3. I do that especially with big groups to manage time. But generally, those are the 3 win conditions. But we also have like any RPG, you have campaign mode. So campaign mode could be instead of scaling 1 business, you scale 5.
Wow. It's like a tycoon mode. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna try to ask a while ago is that can I become a tycoon in this game?
What can happen?
What if my goal is like I want to be like the next Henry C of Manila,
a diversified a diversified group.
Yeah.
So what happens is you can actually run multiple businesses. And like actually how I play nowadays, especially if I'm just playing with one other person. Because I have experience with the game, I play with house rules. So my house rules is instead of starting with one business, I start with two.
Okay.
And I have the same amount of hours. So it's the reality part. Usually when you talk about these games, it's like you can set up all of these businesses, but it doesn't take into account that time is finite. So how are you going to manage it? Are you going to have multiple partners that are going to help manage it? Or are you going to try to run everything yourself? So those are the things that happen in the game. You can run multiple businesses.
I think I have to get into that game.
Yeah, I think I want to try that too, really.
I want to get into that game so I can become a tycoon. I can play with who I can be anyone who I can be in that game, and maybe there are business learnings from being, let's say, my time right now is I'm a media guy, but I also run businesses. I run two businesses right now, but my time is kind of limited already. But I'm still maintaining something like a media personality. But I wanna take life into perspective of maybe what if I want to give up everything and just focus on one.
And that's actually what happens in the game.
It's before you risk everything, like
you can simulate it. And that's what I did actually when I played a game before. What I did is I simulated, all right, what would happen if I gave up my steady income? Could I become a full-time entrepreneur? And the surprising thing for me, even as a creator of the game, is that I realized, hey, wait a second. Without the steady income, when life started happening, oh man, I couldn't handle it. So I ended up looking for a job, and that took more turns. So my business got delayed because I lacked focus.
Okay, my question right now is that how long do you play one game? But before you answer that, we're gonna take a short break.
Okay.
JCI Radio Philippines will return after these messages.
EBC, Eagle Broadcasting Corporation. Ito ang Radyo Agila. Pinalawak, pinadali, pinatipid ng social media ang paraan ng komunikasyon at pagbabahagi ng impormasyon.
Isang mabuting bagay ito para sa ating mga gumagamit. Subalit, gaya ng kasabihan, ang lahat ng sobra ay masama.
Ang social media ay may kaakibat na responsable at maingat na paggamit upang hindi mapinsala at huwag makapaminsala. Tandaan ang ilang paalaala sa paggamit ng social networking site.
Huwag magbibigay ng private information tungkol sa inyong social media account. Ugaliin ang magpalit ng password para mapanatiling pribado ang inyong social media account. Huwag magbigay basta-basta ng inyong social media account sa ibang tao. Huwag gamitin ang inyong account para manira o manakit ng kapwa sa mga social networking site. Pag-isipan ng mabuti ang mga bagay na inyong sasabihin bago i-post sa inyong account.
Maging matalino sa paggamit ng social network. Isang paalaala mula sa Radyo Agila.
We're back on air with Ernest Hernandez on JCI Radio Philippines.
And we are back here on JCI Radio Philippines, everything and anything about the Junior Chamber International. With me is my co-host, Diego de la Paz.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
And of course, our guest for tonight is from Spin, and he is talking about his latest creation game, which is Upstart. Is helping you create the mistakes first before in business before you actually go into business. So, so basically, before we took a break, my question is how long do you play one game? Because I played Monopoly and
it takes hours.
It took like we had 6 hours of Monopoly one time. I mean, no one wants to give in.
Yeah.
A usual game. From our experience, we've like for your first time, especially with the learning curve, because it does take a learning curve. There's a lot of elements to think about, like with your background, the different things you need to track. It usually takes around 3 hours.
3 hours.
3 hours.
So the first person who achieved their goals.
Yeah. Usually it will take around 3 hours, and that's actually recommended. Like as an invisible hand, that's what we call the banker. The banker, or
So there's a banker.
yeah, so the banker or the dungeon master if you play D&D.
D&D.
Yeah.
So we call it the invisible hand.
It's so nerds, man. Anyway,
So the invisible hand, what they do is what they can do is they can actually just declare the game over and then see who's the closest, and that's one way of playing. But one of the interesting things, and I didn't really get to mention this, is that we're in a crowdfunding campaign right now to raise money for the mass production.
Okay.
And one of the interesting things, even with a year and a half of testing, we're getting new insights playing with new people. So actually yesterday we had like a few days ago, like we had a game night. And what happened is that a few people gave comments, and I've adjusted the game completely. Like I've done a complete overhaul that might actually cut it down to an hour and a half. So I'm excited to see how that looks like.
So right now in this phase, you're really still continuing to play test the product to make sure it's better than what it was originally.
I think like standing from a business standpoint, like I was ready to just, all right, let's make this product. But then, I get a comment, and then the customer comes first. If the customer says like, all right, we can do this. We haven't gone into mass production yet. So what's stopping me from changing it? The real thing only stopping me is my own attachment to my product. Like, I spent a year and a half on this. Am I going to change it? And then what happened was, it's just like, all right, if it's the best thing for the product and the best thing for my customer, then I'll do it.
Instead of just coddling it like a baby.
Yeah.
Since it's my question here is that since it's a game and you play with a few players, and what the game is about, it's like also for your personal development. How is it interactive between players during the game?
In terms of the interactivity, right now it's a little bit limited, honestly. What happens is you do have the options to collaborate.
Okay.
And you can share money on different terms. Other times, especially in the incubation phase, there are times where you can interact, where you can steal a client, or you can refer a client. So there are things.
It happens in life.
Yes.
So you can.
It's realistic.
And you can start to see what is like. Are you really gonna refer a client or steal a client? And then your conscience comes into it, and you start thinking, is it gonna be the best for my business in the long run? And you start thinking about things like that. So those are the basic interactions. Like you can collaborate. Eventually, what's beautiful about the game is its flexibility. So I already have several expansion packs already in mind.
Okay.
The first one that we're looking at, and like I mentioned, the crowdfunding campaign, if we hit our stretch goals and we earn more money than we expected, then I'm going to create the expansion pack called Startup Select, where you get to choose your industry. Let's say, for example, you're in media. Your actions could change. Your goals could change.
Yes.
So what we want to do is make it customized based on the industries. And that's like further down the road. Or we have another expansion pack we're looking at called Hostile Takeover, where everyone goes into IPO. And then what happens now, you can manipulate stocks. Like you can purchase from the other person. You can see what you can do to adjust the value of their stocks. That's like later on, though. Like I'm looking at that as more of a phase 3 release. But it's possible. With how the game is right now, there are so many expansion packs we can add to it, so many different factors we can change.
Yeah, and actually, I was thinking, going back to the game, for let's say I'm a player, I'm in a certain industry. Let's say I want to try a different background. Do I have a let's say a data sheet on what my chosen field is in the game? Do I have a sheet that says that since that you're a nurse, so you've got the fact sheets of what the nurse has, what the nurse does?
Yeah, we have like I mentioned earlier, it's a lot like D&D. So you do have a character sheet.
Yeah.
And the character sheet, what it contains is your information about your personal statistics and also your business statistics. So the personal stuff, it might be what is your starting family points? What is your starting social points? What's your starting
Do you have a
vitality?
girlfriend? Do you have
Less
how many
on
girlfriends
that.
do you have?
Less on that and more on the different things. Let's say, for example, your starting salary.
Okay.
So we have one that's aside from the full-time employee or full-time entrepreneur, you might be a fresh grad. So a fresh grad, what you might have is an allowance, and that allowance will soon wither away. So what happens is you could have something that you track, like in 12 turns, the allowance is gone, or essentially your parents cut you off. So that means like you have a certain amount of time to maximize that allowance, and how are you gonna deal with that? And at the same time, you have 50 hours. Are you gonna spend those hours looking for a job or spend those hours setting up a business?
So time is really a factor in this game.
Yeah, very big factor.
Very big factor.
It's really
like
a move.
money. It's like money that you spend also.
Yeah, like what's funny is that like cash flow, there is no currency cash that you hold. All of it is on paper, but what you do have in your hand is time.
Okay, so we went to cash flow. So how does it? And people who are listening to us right now is thinking that, hey, this sounds like Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant. Okay, so what is the difference of this game? And I'm sure you guys played cash flow quadrant.
Yeah, that was actually one of the major inspirations, I'd have to say. It was a great game. One of the things that I really did learn was the power of leverage and the power of managing a balance sheet. But it didn't go as far as simulating the success and failure. And actually, when you play the game, it seemed way too easy to set up a business. From my own personal experience, because I've set up several businesses in the past. I've done several projects, and one of the things with Kiyosaki's game, Cash Flow, is that it seemed like if you had enough money, you could just go buy an automated business, and it's never really like that in real life.
In short, it's not realistic. It really fell short from being realistic
in terms of the business side. But what it does teach you is balance sheets, which are also very important with business. So that is a valuable skill, and I'd say it's something that supplements. So one of the things we looked at was, Kiyosaki's game came out in 1996.
Okay,
and in the last
we haven't revised it.
Yeah, we haven't revised it, and we haven't created
times change.
Times changed. Things haven't been created to really simulate businesses. Startups weren't so huge back then.
Yes, today it's like
huge.
It's this decade.
It's a norm. So one of the things we did is what if we could really simulate that? And we looked at the market, and what we noticed is that there weren't really that many games trying to do that, or no game that could really do it fully. It was either too easy or too hard, or it didn't have the elements that really simulated it. And again, with a year and a half of testing, that's what I really have to emphasize. We spent a year and a half doing this, really trying to get it right, so that when we went out to market, it was something that was really solid.
Okay.
So like the game itself, I'd say.
And you launched this just when?
We officially launched it at our event called the Collaborative Carnival. Some of the JCI people should know about it. They were there.
Right.
But, one of the great things about that was with the Collaborative Carnival, we got to launch it officially.
Okay.
And then we most recently launched the crowdfunding campaign. And that was kind of our official launch out into the world.
Wow.
And, now we have about 12 days left. Like starting tomorrow, will be about 12 days left. And that's really our goal, to really finish that so that we can deliver all of the product, and then we can figure out where to go from there.
Okay. So now you put this on what site?
The sparkproject.com.
Okay.
So it's a local crowdfunding site run by Patch Dulay and several of his partners. And it's a local crowdfunding site that helps facilitate all of the payment processes, etc., for the crowdfunding campaign. And actually, all of our information about Upstart is available there.
Okay, I may invest on this one.
Yeah. I know
I saw the packages. It's interesting.
Yeah. one of the great things about the crowdfunding campaign is we're giving the board for the backing. Because it's done. The game is done. Again, we've been testing for a year and a half. So you can really buy the board already. And one of the advantages through the crowdfunding campaign.
And like in some crowdfunding campaigns, unless they win, they'll give you the board.
Yeah.
Like now, you can already get the board.
Yeah. What's going to happen is that you're going to get a copy. Our estimated time of delivery is 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
After the campaign ends. And mostly what happens is that you can actually get the board for a cheaper price. We're expecting a standard retail price of around 2,500 to 3,000 pesos.
And that's not bad.
It's not bad.
Because how much is cash flow?
Cash flow is $195.
There you go.
So, you would end up paying around 15,000 pesos.
I know. We tried to play that game before, and we just we pay to play that game because it's too expensive to buy the board game.
So we're really trying to equalize it because we do want to help nurture a culture of entrepreneurship here in the Philippines and abroad. It's a part of my own personal advocacy. Like, you create more businesses, you create more jobs. It's very, very simple. So with our campaign, instead of paying the 2,500 or the 3,000, you can donate 1,500 and then you get a copy of the board, so you save like around 1,500 pesos.
Okay, so how my question now is, if I'm going to be interested in contributing to the crowdfund, what are the levels and what are the prices that what are the levels of
the tiers
but before that, we're going to take another short break, and once we come back, you can answer the question already.
JCI Radio Philippines will return after these messages.
"47 years of excellence in broadcast communication. EBC, Eagle Broadcasting Corporation. Ito ang Radyo Agila. DZEC 1062 sa Mega Manila, WIN 1080 sa Northern Luzon, DZEL 1260 sa Southern Tagalog, DXED 1224 sa Southern Mindanao. Ito ang Radyo Agila. Isang tunog, buong bansa.
Dahan-dahan lang ha. Palusong tayo. Kaya ingat.
Ay, salamat. Natapos. Ganyan ang mga Pinoy. Marunong magtulungan. Hindi nga ba't kilala tayo sa bayanihan? Isang katangi-tanging kaugalian natin na hindi dapat hayaang mawala na lang. At sa maraming pagkakataon, maaari natin itong gawin lalo na nga sa panahon ng sakuna o kalamidad man.
Isang paalaala mula sa Radyo Agila.
We're back on air with Ernest Hernandez on JCI Radio Philippines.
And we are back here on JCI Radio Philippines, everything and anything about the Junior Chamber International with my co-host, Jago de la Paz.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
And of course, here with us still is Richard D. Caldecalos of Spin. And we're promoting here. And we're talking about Upstart, their hottest. I'm going to say this already. It's the hottest business game out there.
Thank you.
So, we discussed that this project is also for crowdfunding, so we can expand this to probably not just the Philippines, maybe throughout Asia and throughout the world, and distribute the game
everywhere,
even in Mars and Pluto. so how do I, if I want to invest under the crowdfund, what are the tiers and what do I get?
Okay, very simple. So you can head over to the site and we have everything there. You can check the sparkproject.com and you just click Upstart and then it will have all of the information. But generally the tiers are, the first one and the lowest one is 500 pesos.
500 pesos. You can get it at 500 pesos.
At 500 pesos, what you get is a thank you. So, you know, if
Gratitude.
you get gratitude. So I suggest the next tier, and this is actually one of the more popular ones, which is the 1,500.
Okay.
The 1,500 pesos, what that gets you is the board.
Okay.
And aside from that, you get your name in the manual. So as a part of our gratitude, you're going to be immortalized in our instruction manual.
Wow.
And what happens is,
All right.
so for the 1,500, like I mentioned, the standard retail will be around 2,500, 3,000. You get to save around 1,000 on the retail price just by supporting the crowdfunding campaign.
Okay, I'm sold with a 1.5. So what's the next one?
The next one is 2,000. So I know some people, they might have difficulty following the game, or, you know, like just imagine trying to play Monopoly for the first time. Someone probably explained it to you, right? So if you wanted to...
I'm still trying to figure out what are the
some of the small pieces.
Small pieces. Why do I get a hat?
So one of the main things with the 2,000 peso one is that you get a free access to a seminar. So what happens is you get a seminar on how to run the game and how to make the most out of it. So like I mentioned, I've been testing this for about 1.5 years.
It saves you the time for the trial and error of running the game.
So what happens is you can attend the seminar, and what I'm going to do is also show the tips and tricks, the things that you can do to adjust the rules to make it more fun. If you want to change the situations, you want to change your kind of learning. So that's what the 2,000 gets you. Aside from getting your name in the board, getting a copy of the board, you get a seminar.
Okay.
We also have a limited tier right now called the 2,750 tier, which we call the Upstarter Santa.
Okay, what is that?
Upstarter Santa, what that does is it gets you 2 boards.
Wow.
So at 2,750, you get 2 boards, 2 passes for a seminar. And what happens is that you get, and we only have a limited number of these. We have, I think, about 18 left.
18?
Wow.
Yeah, 18 left of those. And what
So
happens...
this is like the one that is selling like hotcakes for you.
Yeah, it's a limited reward, and what happens is especially because we're in the Burr months now. You know, we look at Christmas here in the Philippines. So if you want to buy one for yourself and one for a friend, then I do suggest the Upstarter Santa, which is 2,750. So if you look at that, you really do save, because imagine the first tier is 1,500. So you're saving on the retail price plus the pre-selling price. And you get the seminars. The last tier that we have is the 5,000 peso one.
Okay, that is twice the previous one. So what do we get for 5,000?
For me, this one is especially for those who are entrepreneurial. I think this is the best deal. The 5,000 peso one is what we call the Upstart Ambassador and Entrepreneur. What happens with the 5,000 pesos is you get 1 board, you get this access to the seminar, you get your name in the manual, and the last thing you get is 1 year rights to hold your own Upstart events, official Upstart events. So of course there will be branding restrictions, etc., but you can hold and use the brand for 1 year.
I may propose the 5,000 to JCI Makati to own that 1 year thing.
Yeah. So because what can happen is you can charge people to play. And much like how Cashflow 101 is, people do that. And you can imagine how much the licensing fees are for Cashflow workshops. They're really, really expensive.
Yeah.
So I do think it's going to be a big, it is a big saving, especially if you're really interested in running workshops, you're interested in holding networking events, because that's what an Upstart Game Night is. You know, it's networking. You get to see how other people work, really.
Yeah.
Literally.
You literally get to see how they make decisions. You get to see how they manage their time and their business. And that could be one point of thinking, oh, do I really want to work with this person with the decisions they make? So it adds that added dimension. And, you know, our suggested number of players is 2 to 5. So imagine if you have 5 players, you charge them 500.
That is the suggested, but we can go to 10.
10 if it's house rules and if you're a talented invisible hand, because it does take a lot of management
A lot of manipulation.
Yeah. So what happens is imagine you have 5, you charge them 500 each. After 2 game nights, you've already earned back the 5,000 you donated.
Okay.
Oh.
So I think that's one of the best deals you can get, and it really, in terms of after this year, I don't know how much the licensing rights are going to be. I can honestly say it's not going to be 5,000. You're probably going to pay a lot more to be able to hold and charge people to events.
All right. So sign me up for the 5,000.
Actually,
I want to be a more than a Santa.
yeah. Actually, at first I was sold at the idea of being a Santa, but after hearing the 5,000 the tier, I think that's the best.
Yeah. And yeah, we can get more boards along the way.
Yeah. Actually.
Income generating activity. We can get 10 boards in the future. Okay, so you talked about the game. We can play with 2 to 5 players, and what you said suggested 2 to 5 players. How is the number of players affecting the game?
It's more on how the time. So if you play with more players, it takes more time because it takes you. Imagine you spend each turn deciding how are you going to spend your hours. That can really affect it. If there are 5 people, it might take a really long time, especially if other people are really analysis paralysis, trying to perfect their schedule.
They're also making on the side their fishbone analysis, their SWOT analysis.
And I've seen people like really do full-on accounting. Like they have a balance sheet, and that's how they record all of their transactions.
So is in the game, is there already a sample balance sheet?
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to do that. It's actually a part of the things. Like if you want to do that yourself, that's fine. We'll give you scratch paper. But if not, that's completely fine. I've seen people play just tracking their cash flow, and it's as simple as that. But looking at it, we suggest 5. But like I mentioned, if you have someone who can really run a game, like a really talented invisible hand who is experienced, you can have up to 10 people, and those are house rules. And what we did is we changed the dynamic. What happens is, let's say you and Diego want to partner up for a business, then you own one business together
as a partnership.
And what happens is you still have the same amount of hours.
Okay.
So what happens is you have your own turns, but you have to decide how you're going to run the business. And that changes the dynamic.
So the what I understand about the game is that the flexibility of the scenarios, like if all but the 3 of us will own, like, let's say
a conglomerate.
No, we own a shoe brand.
Yeah.
The Deca shoe brand, the Ernest shoe brand, and the Jego shoe brand, and let's compete. Who's the best?
Yeah.
You can do that, right?
You can do that. You can
Direct competition.
Like the same way Dungeons and Dragons, if you have a talented dungeon master who could create a crazy narrative, I could say the same thing happens with Upstart. Like I do see that as a possibility. Not everyone's gonna play it that way, but there will be people who are game designers who really think in patterns, and they might be able to put their own conditions. So take, for example, one of the things I'll be teaching at the seminar are the different conditions you can put, like simulating an economic downturn or a recession where the cash flow is a little bit tighter. How do you manage the business then? Or what if bank loans are much higher? So those are different conditions you can actually put in the beginning of the game. And that really depends on what type of house rules you want to play with.
Okay, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
So you can put in like direct competition. That's what I said a while ago.
Yeah.
The personal life scenarios.
And you can add cards. Like we do encourage, like, because we have a set of cards, but if you come up with your own, what's stopping you to put it into the deck? If you're like a really, again, a talented invisible hand.
So you have an expansion pack that has blank cards for your people to fill.
Like we can even just give people a sample of how it looks like. And we really do encourage people to create it. And that's why we started with crowdfunding. You know, quite honestly, our target is 300,000 pesos. It's not that much if you're talking about a business or even a first mass production run. But the reason why we went to crowdfunding is if you ask people, well, what is crowdfunding? It really is about community. And that's where we wanted to start. the game is about community. It's about building and working with people. So if you really think about it, building the community is important for us with Upstart. We could have went straight to the stores, but the problem with that is I would have no idea who bought it.
That's right.
But now with the crowdfunding, I know the name of each and every backer. You know, I know the name of everyone who backed the game. Why did they back it? What are their intentions? And now I can work back and forth with them, develop the next expansion pack, depend on their feedback, maybe even come out with a new product completely. So that's why we went crowdfunding. You know, the money is actually just one part of it. And if you look at our campaign, whether or not we hit our goal, we're producing it. So that's it's actually, you're guaranteed. If you pay the 5,000, you're gonna get it. There's no backing out on our end. We're gonna make sure that we deliver.
Okay, so let's say when does the crowdfunding end? On what date?
It ends in the next 12 days, so around like September 19.
September 19. Okay, September 19 and September 19. And when are you gonna deliver the game? And before you answer that, we're just gonna take a short break.
Our last break.
Our last break before we take a long break. So we'll be back here on JCI Radio Philippines.
JCI Radio Philippines will return after these messages.
EBC, Eagle Broadcasting Corporation. Ito ang Radyo Agila. Ang kabataan ang pag-asa ng bayan.
Pangarap ko makapagtapos. Pangarap ko maging engineer. Pangarap ko maging guro. Pangarap ko maging pulis.
Ang edukasyon ay kailangan ng ating mga kabataan sapagkat ito ang kanilang magiging sandatos sa buhay sa kanilang kinabukasan. Maaari nitong mabago ang kapalaran ng tao. Marami mang problema sa pag-aaral ng mga kabataan, dapat natin itong harapin sa ikabubuti ng buong bayan. Ang mensaheng ito ay hatid sa inyo ng Radyo Agila.
We're back on air with Ernest Hernandez on JCI Radio Philippines.
And we are back here on JCI Radio Philippines, everything and anything about the Junior Chamber International. Yes, we are here. Jego de La Paz and I are with our guest for tonight, Richard D. Caldacalos of Upstart. And again, the question a while ago is, what was the question a while ago?
When were we going to deliver?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So
thank you for saving me.
Yeah. So the delivery is going to be estimated at 6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks. So
After
September 19, we're gonna get the board game
around November.
Around October, November.
Yeah.
October, November.
Yeah. And you know, the only thing is that if we don't meet the goal, it might be delayed by a few weeks because I have to source the money. And that's just going to be a minor delay. So people can expect it before Christmas.
So the latest would be around December.
Yeah. The very latest.
Wow, just in time for Christmas.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So we can start having the Upstart games already by December.
Yeah. And we actually have game nights. People can check out our Facebook account.
Just check it out.
Yeah, facebook.com/upstartthegame. You visit there. We usually make announcements if we have public game nights.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. My question is, who did you test this game to? What are the demographics?
So, like, again, year and a half of testing, hundreds of hours of gameplay, I'd have to say, and a very diverse group. One of the major things is we wanted to see the flexibility again.
Okay.
So we've tested with high school students, as young as high school.
Okay.
High school.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And that's a part of our intention. Like, it is an educational tool. So if you could teach high school students as early as then how to set up a business, wouldn't you have a more capable entrepreneur by the time they graduate
choose the
college?
college course for them.
Yeah, yeah. Like they could figure out what is the most appropriate. So we've tested it with high school students. The very funny thing is because it's a game, it's very intuitive. They don't overthink it the same way adults would.
Okay.
Because adults will try to think of like, okay, what do I do? How am I going to strategize?
Yeah.
A high school kid will just look at what are the benefits of taking this action, and I will take that action because I will get the points necessary to win the game.
Yeah.
So with that mentality, they like learn automatically what are the good habits of setting up a business. So we've tested with high school students,
and they're like a sponge. They absorb it
exactly. We've also tested with would-be entrepreneurs, people who just want to start up their own business. We've tested with people who've been running their own businesses for 3, 5, even 10 years.
Okay.
And they still learn something. Because again, it depends on what your circumstance is. You notice the habits, and you could be in a different circumstance anytime in your life. In the same way, when you play a game of cash flow, it's not always the same learning. It's the same thing with Upstart. You learn something different every time you play. We've tested with employees, like people high up in the corporate ladder, and again, they can learn something about setting up a business on the side. And we didn't just test this with Filipinos. We've tested it with international markets. We've had a player from South Africa try it. We've had a person from Zambia. We had a person from Dubai test the game. And it works no matter what country they are.
This is not just. I was thinking that because we are in the Philippines, is that you cater it to the Philippine market, to the Philippine scenarios, but given with the accessibility to custom the game to the different scenarios, it could be different in the other countries.
Yeah, and with the cards, the initial cards that we created, it's very it's actually very non-geography dependent. Okay, so that's why we had a mixed table of people from different countries, and they can still learn. Even if the currencies are different in your country, because the game has a standard currency of its own, it has its own economy, then you learn regardless of where you're from. And that was really our intention. We didn't just want to create a product for Filipinos, we want to create a product for the world.
For everyone.
Yeah, and because entrepreneurship is rising all over the world, just like JCI is all over the world.
Yeah.
So it really is catering to those international markets. And I actually think the international market is the one that we're really aiming for. But because we're Filipino, it was very important for us to say, hey, yeah, let's launch it in the Philippines. Filipino first,
Okay. So again, we since this is the downstretch of our program, give us all the information that we need to know. How do we contact you? What websites? Do you have any events coming?
Yeah, so you can stay tuned to our Facebook account. The Facebook account will have the various announcements, and our countdown will be there until the last day. We're probably going to have a final kickoff party just to make sure that it's done. And the gaming nights are also opportunities. If you don't have, let's say, a PayPal account or a credit card, you can give it to us physically, or we can even accept BPI deposits. Spark actually does that also. So like I mentioned, aside from the Facebook, you can go to the campaign page directly, which is thesparkproject.com. Then you just have to click Upstart. We're on their front page. Then it will link you there where you can make your donations, your backing, or you can buy the board. So those are the major channels. If you want to find out more about the company behind Upstart, Spin, or the Social Play and Innovation Network, the company that I'm also a founder of and a partner there, you can visit spintheworld.org.
Spintheworld.org.
Yeah, and we have a portfolio of the different projects that we have aside from Upstart, like the Collaborative Carnival, which some of the JCI people are involved with. Aside from that, our other pilot projects and initiatives. So spintheworld.org has all of the information about the company that owns Upstart.
Okay. So with all those things that you have another collaborative carnival coming up soon. Right?
Yeah, we're looking sometime mid next year, maybe March, April.
April.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're looking at that. We're already in discussions to figure out how we're going to do
by that
it.
time, we're gonna have a big game night.
Yeah.
Maybe even have a workshop there during the session. Like I want to spend more time in the workshops. Last time I spent more time on stage hosting, so I'd rather be in the workshops.
Anyway, let me know if you need a host.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is a great thing because for those who are into games, quiz nights.
Yeah.
People are celebrating quiz nights almost every week.
Every week and everywhere.
And just like that, sometimes when it comes to a point in life that you shift your reading to
something more serious.
Something more serious like comic books. I still read comic books, by the way. But I'm starting up some business books again. Just because I'm starting businesses left and right. But this is one thing that I would love to get into, and list me up on this one. And again, thank you very much for appearing here on JCI Radio Philippines.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right. So again, an hour has passed for us in our discussion of everything and anything about the Junior Chamber International. This has been your host, Ernest Hernandez.
And this has been Diego De La Paz signing off for now. Tune in again next week for another dose of awesomeness here on JCI Radio Philippines, where we feature a taste of what JCI is all about. Don't change your frequency because Sports on Air is coming right up.
Join us again next week for another dose of awesomeness here at JCI Radio Philippines on DZEZ 106.2 kilohertz.